Hi, everyone, and welcome to a live reaction and review of Hannibal's series finale. Such a great show, and it ended way too soon. And I'm joined here by my very good friend and YouTube reviewer of other shows and whatnot, Joe from Agree Disagree, to talk about the Hannibal series finale, The Wrath of the Lamb. And there's so many mixed emotions here with this episode. As you can tell from Joe's face, he's doesn't even know what to do with himself. He's so sad. So
it's over.
Sadness. It's over. Sadness is an encompassing emotion here. Another fact that they moved the show from Thursdays to Saturdays was also quite horrible. So ending like that, showing how much NBC really ridiculed this show. And a lot of things went down. This is also the second Hannibal video I've ever done on this channel. I did a news video about it one time, but this first actual Hannibal review I've ever done here. Everything else has been, and it's the last Hannibal review because it's over forever. You go.
What a beautiful ending to a great series.
A beautiful show.
The last 15 minutes of that really took the show somewhere else. I mean, the show was always one for being dark and
violent,
really,
bloody.
Yeah, and really just having its own style, its own even tone. I mean, it really had its own tone. And that's from the beginning. I mean, we pretty much got it right away. But it went somewhere else here. It really went somewhere else. The last 15 minutes, wow. That was...
And they were very much wow.
The season 2 finale was wonderful. And hell, season 1 finale was wonderful too. Every season finale they've had has been fantastic. Yep. I think this one might be my favorite. I really do. This one was outrageous. It was such a beautiful conclusion to the story that we got here throughout the series.
I liked it a lot. I really liked season 3. I really loved the beginning of season 3, particularly. I really loved how everything went down there with the hunt for Hannibal, just to talk about other parts of the show. But I really loved the end of this show as well. I mean, I was on my I kept moving around as I was watching it. I was so anxious as I observed it, and that final 15 minutes was just something I never expected with Hannibal. It was very different, but still very Hannibal-esque. And I just can't believe they canceled this show. I can't even get over that still. NBC tweeted me today, though. I said to them, I'm so sad the show's over, and they tweeted me a little heart. So they know I loved it.
Yeah. Let's just talk quickly about the rest of the episode that is not the final 15 minutes.
Sure. I'd be glad to.
I think we can both agree there's still a few more holes. Not holes.
Unresolved issues?
Unresolved issues coming out of this series finale. A big one is Jack. I mean, we didn't really get any kind of big last scene with Jack or anything. No goodbye. You know, it's just kind of, we're expecting to see Jack again and we don't, kind of.
Yep.
And it kind of sucks for him being such a big character.
Iconic, important character in the entire show that we don't get to see even a hint of what he does at the end of it.
Yeah, he was pretty much the third main character in many ways, and he didn't get much here. And I mean, Alana kind of had an ending, kind of.
She ran away because the show sort of speculated that there could be more, but we'll get into that in a second. So her ending was a bit more there than Jack's ending. Jack didn't really have a full-on ending. He just kind of ended,
and that's kind of
felt very hollow.
That's what we're kind of talking about with the unresolved issues too. They really, especially the past couple episodes, they really hyped up that Hannibal was going to get Alana sooner or later. And they really did. And there was that really intensive scene between the two of them, and when he threatened her, and I was scared. Mads Mikkelsen, I love him. He is such a talented actor. And side note, he's going to be the villain in Doctor Strange, so that's cool. At least we'll still get to see him later on. Still a rumor though right now, is it?
I don't know. I'll just say yes. It's the truth.
Hopefully, right?
But believe me, you can on Otherobert till I deny it. And then,
yeah, that scene they've been building to a Hannibal Alana confrontation for a while.
well, I thought the lines were great because he said like you've been on my time, like I own you, your wife, and your baby or your child.
Yeah, and like you said, she runs away. It feels so unresolved in many ways. But I feel like Alana definitely got more of an ending than Jack did.
Oh, she totally did. She was much better. I always liked Alana in the show overall. I know that she wasn't one of your favorite characters, but I always enjoyed her. So I mean, her ending. I wish it was more wrapped up, but at the same time, it was okay. Let's do the job.
Let's talk Dollarhide. Right,
sure. The dragon.
Yeah, the great red. Right. That's.
This is why Joe and I on actors. This is why we're reviewers because we can't do it.
That's his gimmick, right? Yeah, he was finally kind of good. I mean, this half of the season, I was kind of waiting for him to really kind of get into it and really just kind of
go crazy and be completely evil and psychotic.
Yeah, just completely go away with it here. And I don't really know if he ever was really given the chance before the last 2 episodes, I'd say. And the last 2 episodes, he really he came into his own. The only thing is the last episode, I felt like I was basically just watching Ralph Fiennes's performance.
I never saw that movie, so it was brand new to me.
Sorry, fine. Not Fiennes. I always want to say Fiennes. Fine.
What's he been? Hold on. What's he in? That name's really familiar to me.
Voldemort. It's Voldemort.
Oh, that's Voldemort. Okay, I just watched all the Harry Potters this week, so yeah, I should know that name.
Yeah. But the last episode, really, I thought it was kind of interchangeable watching him and Ralph Fiennes. But this episode, really, he kind of took the character in a different way. That's obviously mainly the directing. But I mean, he finally was the Great Red Dragon. Like he was great in this episode. He finally came into his own.
What he did with Frederick was crazy. What he did with Brianna, oh my god, I'm messing up her name. Reba. What he did with her was crazy. I mean, Hannibal scared me more than him, but I guess he would be on level with Hannibal if you want to talk about in comparison. He's definitely there.
Well, the last episode, he finally felt like a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is contrary to Mason Verger, where Verger felt like a threat since ever, right? I mean, as he was a 3A bad guy, he always felt like a threat. Whereas this guy, it really took time, I thought.
Well, it's because Mason had that calm, evil demeanor, and like little things that he did were like really showing him as being evil. This guy, yes, he was a murderer, but at the same time, he was a little bit more hollow, I would say. Maybe because we got to see a lot more of Mason talk, too.
I think it has to do with charisma. I think Mason was much more charismatic and much more kind of flamboyant in his, I guess,
evil ways.
Where this guy was more kind of stoic and more reserved in his...
I think a good villain is one who can be calm and quiet, but also like when they're evil, they can be evil. Like, you know what I mean? When they want to like get what they want, they'll get what they want.
Right.
I think Mason was a good combo of that.
Right. Well, Dollarhide, like I said, he finally came to his own last episode, and this episode he really he went with it here. He was great in this episode, and the first 5 minutes when they did the fake out, I really thought that's where they were going to go because of this being the last episode, and I went like, oh, okay, that's how they're going to wrap up this story. I was kind of fine with it because I would have it's fine because it's the last episode. I kind of would have been okay with them kind of half-assing the ending to this minor storyline in the greater scheme of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
However, they intertwined it with the rest of the episode, and we were still able to get really a pretty good, if this is the ending, a pretty good definitive ending to the series with a good ending to this half of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it was.
I'm okay with Del Hyde's ending. I thought. I mean, I'm trying to talk about it without getting into the last 15 minutes because I like that is its own thing. So I'm talking about Del Hyde before the 15 minutes.
I think overall he just was. I liked him in that museum episode. That was he was very interesting in that episode. I think I was very happy with his ending. I've never once complained about Hannibal's writing. The only complaint I've ever had about Hannibal is that it airs, A, it's canceled, and that B, I always like watching the episodes one at a time, and having them, air over a week is very difficult because like it's such great, and you always want to see the next one. So yeah, I was fine with his ending too. Felt bad for Frederick. His ending, I felt bad for. Poor Frederick.
Well, that character was always kind of a I guess slimy. I guess slimy is a good word.
Dingleberry.
Yeah, he was always
but at the same time he had his kidney removed. His kidney was removed.
Yeah, he was kind of like the punching bag.
Yes, exactly. He was very much a punching bag for with Gideon and Hannibal. And I mean, Hannibal discredited his work. Gideon took out his kidney. I don't know. And then the Red Dragon set him on fire and tore off his mouth. So if you can't feel bad for this character, I don't know what to say. Like, I felt very bad for him.
So bad. The ending.
He's stuck in a tube right now. He's in a tube on the. If you don't believe the actor is him, if you believe the actor is him, he's in a tube right now in a hospital.
And we learned that Hannibal refuted the story and kind of screwed him there.
Hannibal totally screwed him. He's a punching bag. Hannibal messed him up. Gideon messed him up. The dragon messed him up. I mean, God. I mean, his storyline wrapped up, and but the thing is, I felt bad for him. I mean, yes, he was annoying. I mean, he was the head of the mental department before Alana took it over, and you thought he was just aggravating when Will was, especially when Will was in the mental institution with him, and you thought, okay, just go away, like let Will out. But then here, as you see him, literally get punched, or he get his lips torn off, get his body set afire. I felt bad for him. I feel bad for him. I give him credit.
What really adds humor to that is that Freddie Lounds was
great
in the movie, and apparently in the novels as well. It's Freddie Lounds that got really the treatment that he got, but they didn't want to do that to Freddie Lounds on the show.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss that.
So they went to Chilton and just said, we'll do it to him, as if he doesn't have it bad enough. He was the punching bag. But, I mean, the ending suits him. I mean, the character was always slimy and disgusting and just unlikable.
Okay,
so,
if I deem you as a slimy and unlikable character, that's my ending. I'm going to set you on fire and put you in a tube.
Right. It was kind of far.
Yeah. It's awful. It's great writing, but it's awful for a person. I mean, I cringed when the dragon attacked him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know I'm reading over into it, but at the same time, like I mean, Freddie Lounds. Oh, speaking of characters, like didn't get a real resolution. Freddie Lounds didn't really get a resolution either. Yeah, she just kind of wrote a story for Will.
That's fine though. She kind of fell off the last season.
Yeah, what's interesting with this season is you think about it with 2 and 1. Like all the doctors and stuff are actually really prominent, and this season they were reduced to guest stars. Like they were in like 3 or 4 episodes. They weren't that many episodes at all. Like all the people that went on the forensics. Right. Yeah, no, it made sense. Yeah. Oh no, that makes sense because with the beginning of the show, they're in Vienna. I think it was Vienna or Florence, and then the other part of the show, I mean, Hannibal's in jail, or the asylum. Yeah,
they didn't let like having their cast really hold them back. They kind of were pretty fearless with saying, we'll let these few kind of carry the show.
Fade off. Yeah. And let some other people fade off into the distance.
But, I mean, let's talk the last 15 minutes, right? We've kind of been tiptoeing around it. From the house on, terrific. And so I mean, season 2, what was... The season 2 finale was perfect, but where did it really pick up? The house. we got it again.
And that house has a lot of symbolism, too. It means a lot on the show. Not even symbolism, just it's symbolic. I should say it's symbolic.
Yeah. Would you like to take it away?
No. I for anyone who watches this at a later time, Joe is the one who got me into Hannibal, so I'm going to give Joe the opportunity to speak first here.
Well, we kind of had our real last conversation with Hannibal and Will.
Yep.
And it was beautiful. It was such a conclusion to what it shows how far we've come with these characters, and
which is very far,
and where they ended pretty much. That last conversation means a lot more now, knowing how it ended, than when they were saying it. If that makes sense. Like you see that last scene with the last conversation, and then the rest of the episode happens, and then if you think about what they said in that conversation, it makes more sense. You look at it a different way, because it's Will saying, I don't need to survive, pretty much.
Yeah, and if Will had truly given up, or I mean, he did kind of pretty much give up. If the show was picked up for new season, Will wouldn't have been in it either way. So it was actually a good way for his character to kind of accept death and move on to think about it. Because you had said that you had told me that Will wouldn't be in the next season either anyway, because he's not in that storyline.
No. I assume that.
Right. Well, yeah, we don't know, but in the guessing game, like, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's kind of interesting to think about it. He accepts it.
Well, I mean, I'll say my speculation for at the end, but anything you want to talk about while they're in the house, the conversation?
They seem to resolve their issues, which I think is interesting. Like those final moments between the two of them before the other stuff happens. There's a lot of tension, a lot of passion, I think will be a word to describe the relationship. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's intensive. I mean, Bedelia, had asked Will if he loves Hannibal. So, I mean, they have an interesting relationship for what they are. So I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't have like too many. You kind of hit the whatever the expression is. You did it.
They really basked in the romantic storyline that they started doing here.
Thank you, because I didn't want to say it, but I knew it was there, and I mean, they really, really did it. Like, it was intensive
from nowhere. I mean, this was pretty much the last 2 episodes, and
I mean, I've seen it before. I mean, it's been hinted at.
Yeah, it makes sense, but they pushed for it strongly the past couple episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I was expecting some interesting stuff to happen between the two of them. Just I don't know, just to see how far NBC was willing to go.
I was, with how it was ending. I thought they were.
I mean, why not? Like just like screw NBC at this point, right? I mean, they give Grimm 22 episodes, they give Hannibal 13 and cancel it. And Grimm is a season 5, might I add, and Grimm isn't even that good. So,
all right. Well, Dalhide shoots Hannibal, which
in the belly as they're about to. They had just toasted their wine. And then she shoots Hannibal in the belly. Then Will holds up the glass. It looks like he's about to drink. And then...
Well, Will was drinking. Dalhide was standing above Hannibal saying, I'm going to film you and everything. And Will's just...
enjoying it.
That's such the... He was enjoying... He was observing. And that's
the relationship. That's not a normal reaction to things, by the way. That is a creepy reaction.
That's a perfect example of their relationship. That Hannibal... He seems to be on death's doorstep here.
But
Will's
the dragon's doorstep.
Right, the dragon's. But Will's just intrigued by it, and it kind of goes the other way too. I mean, once he threw Will outside, then Hannibal jumped on him, and then became kind of a 2-on-1 fight. But when he first started going after Will, Hannibal was just watching that as well. It's very much a what can you do?
These two are, the thing is, we've noticed in this entire show's run that these two are very observant of each other's actions. Like, they just like to watch what each other does. It's interesting. They like it's throughout the whole show. Like, sometimes they'll just sit back and watch it. This is really no different than other times we've seen them.
I don't know the last time I saw a TV show or even a movie
that.
where the two main characters were such perfect foils for each other in the way that these two characters were.
They definitely were.
And it took the ending to really kind of demonstrate how far that goes. And I mean, the fight commences, right? And it's 2-on-1 at first, and then
And the fight is so bloody. The fight is bloody, bloody, bloody. Stabbing everywhere. It's intensive. It's so intensive between what happens with everyone in this fight scene. It must have been a crazy. I'm sorry, because I'd like to think of it from a technical standpoint. It must have been a crazy thing to shoot. Imagine just like doing that as an actor, like rolling around, pretending to stab someone a billion times.
Yeah, and seeing Will and Hannibal on the same team there was
very nice, very nice.
But then what I loved was how it was pretty much silent, and they had music playing.
Yes. No one was screaming or fighting. It was just the music, as you said, that went around.
I thought that was the perfect way to tackle it. It added so much. The song they chose was fantastic.
It made Joe cry.
No, it didn't.
You said you were all right. You made you. Want
I said I want to cry.
There you go. Fine. I took it back. He wanted to cry. Everyone.
Well, that's just because Hannibal's ending. Because Hannibal's over.
No. The song made you cry.
No, the song was great. The song fit the tone so perfectly. I couldn't have picked a better song for that. I really couldn't have. That just summed up that ending. It added so much. The song became its own character at that point. The music became its own character. And
it's amazing what music can do for a show or for any scene. The power it can add to it.
Exactly. And I was saying this before we went live. Everyone wants to talk about tone, right? We always talk about tone, especially in Hannibal. We talk about tone.
Yep.
A lot of people who I feel like are not into TV and movies might not know.
Which everyone should be into TV and movies. You should be, because like it's makes up America at this point.
Right. They might not know. They might not really know what that means. I think because I know a couple people like that don't know what you talk about when you say tone of a movie or a TV show. If you show them this episode and that song and say that song fit that tone perfectly, I feel like anyone would know what you're talking about and agree, because that's really just the power of that song and how much it added to the ending.
It did. It added a lot.
It was unbelievable. And we got what was a really, really fun part in that fight was when it seemed like it was 2-on-1, but then everyone kind of gets up and it's the three of them looking at each other. And at that point, it seemed like, Will and Hannibal are kind of on the same team here. But when they all kind of stood up and were all three of them looking at each other,
you didn't know.
Exactly. It's still Hannibal. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's still Will and Hannibal. You don't know. You never know with Hannibal.
No.
He's always kind of in control. So at that point, it felt
even while he has a bullet in his belly.
Yeah.
And he's in control while he's shot in the stomach too.
If it really felt like a three-way dance there, and that was intriguing in itself. And then they finish off Dollarhide, and we had the last couple moments with Will and Hannibal.
And they jump off a cliff.
Well, that was Will. That was entirely Will. Hannibal, I don't think he knew it was coming. I don't think he knew it was coming, but I think
he was bleeding from his stomach. I don't know. Maybe he did.
I think he kind of embraced it though.
He totally.
Like I think the initial push, I don't think he would have known it was coming, but once it's actually going, I think he's just like, this is it. Like, that was perfect. It was a perfect ending. Did it feel like they threw that in to end the series? Yeah,
maybe,
but
possibly.
After having
100%.
After having seen that episode before we started doing this here, I looked up at what the creator had to say, Brian Fuller, and he said that, from what I read at least, I could be.
It's an interview with the creator though, so it's very possible that is true.
I could be saying this wrong. I could be, this could not be right, whatever. But it seemed as if they had this ending before they knew they were canceled. So that's interesting. That's kind of the season 2, everyone's dead, where do we go from here? Pretty much.
I mean, at this point, we go to NBC and complain to bring Hannibal back.
Right.
That's where we go.
This was more of a definitive ending. With that, yeah, they seemed like they were dead, a lot of the characters, but
our main characters,
right. But there was still kind of, maybe they're not, it's not that definitive. They're
dead.
Yeah, that was that was a pretty high cliff.
One of them is dead. Maybe one of them broke the other one's fall, but I guarantee one is dead.
But still, they were shot, they were stabbed, they were beaten up,
right in the face. Oof, that was just intensive. When Hannibal got guns shooting doesn't bother me, but like when knives and stuff do, and like that really made me squirm in my seat when I watched it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was just, that was a perfect ending. As much as I want the show to continue in some manner, that was perfect. That was perfect in the sense with Will hugging Hannibal. That kind of embrace to end the series. And yeah. I mean, the whole series, you didn't know what to make of their relationship. And I felt like with that embrace, I got it.
Yeah, I got it too.
In a very weird way, I got it.
Good though.
And it everything built towards that hug. I feel like this entire series,
the whole show was just all about that one embrace, that one final hug.
I'm not kidding. It all built to that moment right there. And that's the money shot right there. And then they obviously Will pushes him off. And like I said, Will in that speech says, I don't need to survive. It said, I'm paraphrasing, says something along the lines of, I don't need to survive to complete my mission. And
NBC is going to copyright this video because you quoted them directly.
It makes sense though. It definitely makes sense. And that perfect. Really, I mean, I have so much more to say, but I'm wrapping myself up here because I'm just gonna ramble on.
I'll talk for a minute then. As Joe very perfectly discussed the final battle of Hannibal, as Hannibal does, there's an ending credit scene, and this is a spoiler for anyone tuning in. And at the end of Hannibal, we see Bedelia, who, might I say, looks very similar to Elizabeth Mitchell, but that's a different story. And we see her at a table set for 3, and we see a piece of meat, and it turns out to be a leg, most likely her leg, because her leg is gone. And then she puts a fork underneath, and then the show goes to black. So the question is, whose leg is she? Why is she eating her leg? And who is serving her leg, and why would she need her own fork to save her as some type of defense? So there's a lot of open-ended questions left for the season 3 finale of this, and also the series finale. So with that, the show is over, and we don't know if Hannibal survived or if Bedelia is just psychotic.
Right.
And to review that scene in about a few seconds, I would say that ending scene really got me thinking of what could happen if Hannibal came back, because I really enjoyed Hannibal overall. It was a great show to watch. Very, very fun. Very intense.
With this being the series finale, I hated that as the last scene. I'm sorry. I really hated that as the last shot we see of the show.
Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, okay, the season 2 finale with them in the clouds, like I thought that was a great finale because like it led on to something else, like what is that relationship between the two of them right there. But here it's just her, and I don't know, it doesn't work.
What I think they're kind of going for, like I said, it seemed like they were at a point where they didn't know they were done,
right?
Or if they did know, then they still had hope that they'd continue. And
my only other thing about that one scene is she had said that she was never going to let Hannibal eat her. And,
well, I mean, that's what everyone says. You know, Alana felt very in control, but I mean, if the show continued, I doubt she would have been.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Hannibal, she said Hannibal couldn't eat her. I mean, maybe she just wanted to deny Hannibal the food herself, but I'm speculating myself.
The way I viewed that scene, I did not think it was her going crazy at all. I didn't see that, and I don't.
She's psycho. She is crazy.
But I don't get it. I don't see why that would be a scene. The way I viewed it was that very similar to the Dark Knight Rises ending, where we see Batman die, but then, sorry, spoiler, but I mean, come on, Dark Knight Rises were, years.
I've never seen it.
Come on,
you're spoiling it for me. I've never seen it.
Very similar to that, and we see him die. But
thank you for spoiling this, by the way. I've never seen that movie.
But then we see him in the diner, and we really don't know what to make of it, what's going on, but it seems like he's alive. That's what I got here, where we see Hannibal die, but we see her being served her leg. And she has a fork. She's not doing it to herself. Someone is doing it to her. I highly doubt it's another character doing it to her besides Hannibal. It's got to be Hannibal. I don't really see the point in having that done.
We don't see the point in NBC canceling the show.
Right.
So there's a lot.
The way I viewed it was that big climax scene like Dark Knight Rises, where it seems like he's dead, but then we see kind of a fast forward, and it seems that he's very, very much alive.
Well, maybe he is very much alive, and we'll get to see season 4 in a couple years or never, and we can just talk about it then.
It seems more likely at this point for a movie. So.
That'd be very cool if they had a movie for Hannibal. That'd be a really great way to totally wrap it up and hopefully get all the storylines, because I feel like there's a lot you can do with Hannibal provided you keep Hannibal alive. So
it seems like wishful thinking, but my speculation for if the show ever continues in any manner whatsoever. Yeah, I think Will's dead. I think that maybe Hannibal, kind of used Will, I guess, as a landing pad. Maybe
that's what I said. I had said maybe one of them broke the other one's fall.
Yeah, I think that Hannibal survived and Will didn't. If they are to continue this in any manner, and then that would make sense for Silence of the Lambs and getting Clarice involved. But then you wouldn't have that dynamic that really the whole show was built upon with Hannibal and Will. So then you kind of question why. Then, if it's not going to have what made the show, one of the things that made the show so special, then should we even have it? If it's not going to be the same in that regard. And I don't know the question. I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer to that question either. It's too big for me to answer. I can't do it.
Right. So I mean, I guess that is
the question too that we asked everyone out there. If you have an answer, Joe and I cannot answer that question.
Yeah. Would you rather continue in some manner, but not having Will? So not having that relationship, one of the main focal points.
The focal point of
really the main. Like I said, I felt the entire series built towards that hug. And
me too.
If we're not going to have that relationship in the show or movie or whatever, however, if it ever did, then why? What's the point?
Yeah, I know. Well, that is our reaction of the series finale of Hannibal. It was a great discussion, very solid discussion. I thank you for joining me, Joe. I'm glad we got to discuss Hannibal. Anyone watching, thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll leave a comment on your thoughts about Hannibal in the comments below. And thank you all for watching again. And Joe and I will be back here at some point in the future to do more live reviews of other awesome TV shows like we do all the time. So thank you guys for watching, and good night and good morning. See ya.